Hello, and welcome to chapter 29 of the book, The Great CEO Within, and this course. So, I want to quickly check that this is the last chapter before the appendix section. Okay, there's one more chapter, and that is to marketing here. The next chapter after this is marketing. And then the next part is going to be part 8, appendices. So I don't think I'm going to do a video of the appendix session. Maybe I'll do one video to cover it all and just do a run through. But the idea behind doing this course for me was not to do this as a replacement of reading the book. And I think the appendices section of the book, part 8, appendices, is especially important when you want to make a template out of some of the resources you shared, or you want to copy some ideas from the documents so you have an example to look at. But other than that, we 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 have the appendices part as a reference for further reading. So maybe just one more video to cover that part. But now the sales team. Let's look at the sales team. Chapter 29, sales. This section was written by Misha Talavera, co-founder of NeoReach. In this section, I assume that you are selling a product and have found an initial version of a product market fit. An initial version of a product market fit might be your MVP, minimum viable product. But the product market fit, she's not saying you have to wait to have product market fit before you start hiring. Of course, you need a small team to at least get a product market fit. So assume that you have successfully closed your initial paying customers, and these customers are satisfied with your product, that a significant portion of them will become recurring customers. So yeah, so this is the MVP. You've done the MVP. You now have the MVP. You have initial customers and all that. I divide this section into two parts. The first touches on the best practices for making a sale. The second tackles how to build and manage a sales team and pipeline. So she's saying fundamentally the first part is about sales, and then the second part is about sales management. Okay, so there'll be some discussion about fulfillment in the process. So making a sale, in this section, I describe my best practices for making a sale. I leave any tricks or gimmicks out of it and focus on the fundamentals that have held true since the beginning of business. To make a sale effectively, you need to do the following three things: build trust, identify the customer's specific pain, sell results, not features. Building trust. As in fundraising and recruiting, building trust is the primary goal, and it is achieved in the same way. For the first few meetings, try to only ask the potential customer about them. Listen attentively, actively, reflect back what they say. And at the next meeting, show that you remember what they said in the previous one. As in fundraising, you may wonder how to get meetings where you aren't required to talk about your product or service. Here are some ways. It says, be explicit about not talking about your company. For example, you can say, before we talk about what we do, I'd like to start by getting to know you, because I don't want to say your situation, because situation is not particularly a fancy word if you're talking to a Nigerian client. To know if we're even the right solution for you. Ask for a very limited amount of time so that the burden is low. Let's have a short introductory call for 10 minutes. Let's get together for a quick coffee. Invite them to a purely social event. We're hosting free drinks. Well, not free drinks. We're hosting drinks at on so day, please join us. We've got seats at the US Open. Wow, US Open. That one's be a big sale. Okay, so customer development. This section was written by Misha Talavera, um, co-founder of NeoReach. The second step is to identify the customer-specific challenge. To do so, you must ask the right questions. This can be done either after you built initial trust with the customer or as a way to build trust since it involves listening to the customer. Either way, you need to understand your customer's pain before you present your solution. By doing so, you will achieve three things. You will know what the customer is looking for so you can present your solution in those same terms. Two, you will know that your proposed solution is specifically intended to solve a specific challenge. Or three, you will weed out customers that aren't a good fit for your product and save time to focus on those who are. So how do you do this? Through a series of questions, your aim is to understand three things. What are their goals? What are the challenges preventing them from reaching these goals? And what are the ideal solutions to overcoming those obstacles? As you will see in the example below, the conversation is not always as linear as you would hope. The pain point that you're solving may not be the only challenge that the customer faces. So it is your job to guide the conversation towards the specific pain you solved. It is also very helpful to ask open-ended questions such as, please tell me more. This will give you additional context about how they see the situation. Finally, make sure to repeat the important things they say about their goals, challenges, and ideal solutions back to them to show them that you're listening and build trust. So building trust is never ending. That's the point. It's never ending. Across the in the spectrum of shareholders, of stakeholders, um, whether it's selling to customers, whether it's relating with your employees or or co-employees, or whether it's relating with investors. Trust is the fabric that holds it all together, if I can put it that way. So it's also about genuine care. Do you genuinely care for the person you want to sell to? Because people can often see beyond faking an attempt to be a problem solver. If you do not genuinely care, you can't tell the problems or help them, even because some customers don't even know the problems they have. And I think that was one of the things that was truly unique and defining about people like Steve Jobs. They could they could introduce products that were not even thought of in the first place. It's like were not a visible necessity, and then suddenly when the product is introduced, everyone acts as if it has always been a pain point for a very long time. I think that's one of the reasons he built Apple to such a successful level. Here's a real life example of a sales call. The point of this demonstration is to show that it's not always linear. Mm. That is, you won't just ask these questions and then bam, figure everything out. Sometimes the problem the customer has underlying things in their minds that they are not conscious to or aware of. And so if you address the superficial one, the ones on the surface, it could be the other company who eventually comes and identifies the more burning fundamental problem that takes the sale. So in the conversation, you also want to to know which is the burning one. I think that's the point she makes. Me, preface. Hi, Stacy. It's good to have you on the phone. I'm looking forward to giving you a demo of NeoReach. Before I go ahead and do so, I would love to learn more about you and your company. Can I ask you a couple of questions? Stacy says, sure, that sounds good to me. So me, and then you move on to goals. this is a preface, but this is how the sales a sales call conversation is structured. So you have the preface, you have the goals, you have the challenges and all that. So the first goals part she talks about awesome. So tell me, Stacy, what are you responsible for at your current company? So Stacy responds, I'm the director of social media. So I oversee our social media strategy across channels. This includes posting on our accounts, buying social ads, and working with social media influencers. Then I say, so you repeat what she says. So you are the director of social media and you oversee social media strategy across all channels, and that includes managing social media influencers. And please tell me more about your influencer marketing. So Stacy then says, we mostly work with YouTube influencers and they do product reviews for us. Last year, we worked with over 400 influencers. Me goals again. That's awesome. What are the goals of your influencer marketing and how do you measure success? And Stacy responds, the goal of our influencer marketing is to build brand equity. We want to get the right influencers talking about our products to the right audiences. We measure success by measuring engagements. That's a good thing to measure anyway. Engagements, not just views. Me, challenge. So repeat what she said. What did she say? So your goal for influencer marketing is to build brand equity. And so you ask the influencers to talk to their audience and you make sure they have the right audience. But more importantly, you are not measuring just views, you are measuring engagements. So she says yes. And what are your biggest obstacles or challenges with influencer marketing so far? Stacy would respond. The biggest obstacle right now is that I can't keep track of what my team is doing. Me, I will then repeat and say, oh, I think I understand, but to be sure I heard you correctly, you said the biggest obstacle that you're facing right now is keeping track of everything. Because I mean, for example, last year you did 400 sales, 400 influence you worked with 400 influencers and you were measuring engagements. Engagements are pretty difficult to measure, especially on YouTube, because you have the comments. One video could have 1,000 comments. And so how do you track 1,000 comments to know what the pain points are, the concerns that customers have? I think I understand that, but could you please tell me more about it? Yeah, so that's how the conversation goes. Oh, this is get. Oh, okay, there's still some more. So Stacy says, my team uses spreadsheets to run the campaigns. As a result, it's really hard for me to know what each person is doing, how much we're spending, and the results that we're seeing. Me, challenges. So you said you use spreadsheets and it's hard to know how much you're spending, the results you're getting, so you know whether it's working or not. And then, yeah, is that right? She says, yep. My ideal solution. What would the ideal solution to your problem be? Stacy, ideally, I'd like to be able to easily see my team's activity, how much we're spending in any given month, and what results we are getting from each campaign and influencer. So I then say, yes, you're looking for a solution that helps you see your team's activity, your expenses, and the results you're getting for each campaign or each influencer. And why is this important to you? Well, I really believe in influencer marketing, but unless I am able to get a clear view on my ROI, I cannot scale our spend. And please tell me, so I go back and say, got it. Got it. Better. It's clearer now. Got it. It's clearer now. And please tell me, Stacy, how would a product like that be vetted and purchased as your company? I'm the decision maker, but I would ask for the opinion of my influence team and of my VP of marketing before pulling the trigger. Oh, great. Well, Stacy, thank you so much for your answers. I would love to give you a demo of NeoReach. I think you might like what we've built for you. So that's how the conversation goes. Now that Stacy has clarified exactly what her pain point is, and notice how with she said she wanted to see something like a dashboard and everything, but eventually we get to a point where She's concerned about how it affects her ROI. So the question is, how will New Reach, or how does New Reach help a company achieve positive ROI, positive return on investment? So yeah, that sounds good. Now that Stacey has clarified what her pain point is, I feel confident that she will see value in our product, and I feel prepared to present my product in a way that addresses a top pain point. As you do more of these calls, you will start to see trends. Your target customers will have many different related pain points that your products can solve, and different customers will highlight some over others. Taking notes is fundamental to record and categorize this knowledge. Over time, you will want to build an inventory of problem and solution statements for the different kinds of customers and problem and different product features your product serves. Here's an example problem. For directors of social media that oversee influencer marketing at Fortune 1000 consumer brands who need a better way to track their influencer marketing activities, spend, and results. So, solution NeoReach is an influencer marketing SaaS platform that enables marketing managers to scale their influencer marketing by seamlessly tracking their influencer marketing activities, spend, and results, unlike spreadsheets which are disorganized and scattered. Sell results, not features. So it's a classic founder issue to dive directly into the product functionality. After all, you spent countless hours slaving over this product, thinking through every feature and technical challenge. The reality, however, is that most people don't care about your product functionality. They don't care about your features. They care only about their business results. Think about it. You don't buy the new MacBook because of its new chip. No, you buy the new MacBook because it allows you to achieve more due to its increased speed. It doesn't matter that it is faster because of the new chip. Heck, it could be faster because of some proprietary unicorn sparkle dust, and you will still buy. What matters is that it helps you achieve more. The chip is the how, achieving more is the why. So you're selling the why. Focus on the why. Focus on painting the vision of a world where the customer's desires are fulfilled with the help of your product. Here's a real world example. In the early days of DocuSign, the company was struggling to close big enterprise deals. They were selling software that enabled their customers, salespeople to send and sign contracts virtually. The problem was that nobody cared about signing contracts virtually. And why should they? There was no hint that signing contracts virtually had any impact on their bottom line. When DocuSign realized this, they changed their strategy. They changed their pitch to, we can increase your revenue by getting your customers to sign their contracts in under half the time that they currently take to do so. What follows is history. In 2015, DocuSign raised $233 million at a $3 billion valuation. Wow, that's big. That's big. So now it's really easy to sign documents even without DocuSign. But I can see like far back as 2015, that was a major issue. So let's highlight this part. I think I'm getting into my groove reading this document now. Now that it's coming to an end because I've now read it over several chapters and I've done well over 24 hours, I would think, of recording and then also doing some slight editing because I'm not really doing major editing. So just slight editing. So I would say it's roughly well over 40 hours that I've spent so far into just making this um, almost raw series. But I realize now, and that's the thing about doing something new or starting out in something new. I think it was Ali Abdul who broke it down into three phases. He said the first thing you want to do, the absolute first thing, is to get started. Like, don't concern yourself with being perfect and all that. Just get started. And as you get started, you want to watch out for what you can do better. So you get good or you get better. And as you get better, you start thinking about how to make a meaningful profit out of it, or to optimize it into a way that's beneficial for you. And that is the point of getting smarter. So you get started, you get better or get going, and then you get smart. So I think that's like the the pace that I'm trying to follow with this work. So it's going to get better by God's grace. So what results are you providing to your target customers? Integrity and the dangers of overselling. As a startup founder, it is very tempting to be a yes man to potential customers. After all, shouldn't you be trying to do everything possible to get revenue through the door? As a result, many founders end up overselling. We do not recommend taking this route, not only because it is ethically wrong. The customer trusts you to be honest about what you can and cannot do, and you are intentionally breaching that trust, but also because it has several quantifiable consequences on your business. The first thing that you're risking is your reputation. Customers talk to each other. There are only so many bridges you can burn before you burn your entire reputation in the market. The second thing is your development. The second impact it has is on your development team. Generally, when founders oversell the product, they turn around and apply exorbitant pressure on the development team to meet the customer's oversold expectations. This can cause a lot of stress on the development team. And then another thing, another impact, major impact it has is the impact on culture. Founders think it's okay to oversell because they are in control of the product. However, if the founders oversell, it is very likely that the sales hires will also oversell, since they will adopt the culture from the top. Once you create a culture of overselling, it is very hard to go back. Overselling is a form of laziness. Instead, take the time to build trust. Then your customer will buy from you even though your product does not yet solve every one of their challenges. They trust that you will soon build in those features. Building a sales team and pipeline. When should I hire a sales team? This is a common question among founders. Getting revenue in the door seems to be the solution to all your problems, and hiring salespeople seems to be the solution to getting revenue. So, shouldn't you hire salespeople right now? The answer is no. In most cases, salespeople will never be able to sell better than the founders, and they won't be able to sell the product if you are not able to. To thrive, salespeople need to have a very clear product offering to sell and very clear direction on who to sell to. Furthermore, hiring salespeople will take up a lot of headspace from you. So I think this was a point of concern for me recently, because I think I was speaking to someone, and then he said he wanted to start a new business, and the first thing he was looking to hire a new sales team, and he wasn't sure how I was going to fit into the team, because I am essentially an operator. So, and I said, well, my concern was, you have one business going on, you should get some market share of that industry before pivoting to another sector, because it was essentially starting out in a different sector. So I didn't pursue that conversation since, but the point is, because he wanted to pivot into a new sector, he just felt he needed to hire a team, and the team will build out the product, and part of that team will be sales people. And I was also talking to someone recently, and he wanted to start a new operation, and he wanted me to do something around sales. And I said, well, I can do something around business development, initial branding for you as part of my job as your operator. But what I cannot do is to take up the sales function for you because you are the face of the brand and you should be dedicated to the sales function. In fact, you don't need a sales team. You just need to do the selling yourself for a considerable amount of time before you can then hire a sales team or even hire a sales professional. So I'm reading this now further convinces me that founders, especially small founders, should focus on the selling and not immediately on hiring a team. Focus on the selling. So you should only hire a sales team when you have two conditions met. You found an initial version of a product market fit, possibly an MVP. This means that a significant portion of your paying customers are renewing their contracts. You have figured out what you are selling and who you are selling to. Keep in mind that as you grow your sales, you also need to grow the infrastructure to meet the need of the sales from the new salespeople. This includes the onboarding process, customer support, etc. The structure of a sales team. This section is based on Aaron Ross's predictable revenue. Aaron Ross was an early hire at Salesforce.com. He's credited for designing the sales engine that grew Salesforce into a $100 million sales machine. Nowadays, his breakthroughs are implemented at all the winning B2B tech companies. Aaron Ross's most important insight is the following. Most executives think that the way to grow revenue is by adding salespeople. However, most often, the main obstacle to growth is not growing the team, but generating more leads. Only once you can predict your lead generation can you achieve predictable revenue. Only once you achieve predictable revenue can you achieve true scale. So let us highlight this part. Okay, that is invisible enough. I want it to be visible enough. Okay, good. Generating sales, generating leads rather, and closing deals are distinct functions that must be split. Generating leads is a game of breadth that is with you need to have like a game of numbers. It requires emailing and talking to a lot of people, a lot of different leads to filter out the non-qualified ones as fast as possible. Closing deals is a game of depth. It requires building deep relationships and understanding think of generating leads as horizontal, and then think of um, closing deals as vertical, that is going deep. It requires building deep relationships and understanding what the qualified leads and understanding with the qualified leads in order to close the deal. The people that close deals are often much more senior than the people that generate leads. This is because the relationship building skill set often requires experience to develop. Senior salespeople are expensive, so their time is best spent focusing on the most high value activity, closing deals. If your salespeople are also generating leads, they are wasting valuable time and getting unnecessarily stressed by having to fulfill different functions in parallel. So these are now two functions. One function is closing deals. The other function is generating leads. And that might require that requires different methodologies and different people in some companies, but it all begins with the leads that you generate. And that is one of the things that my content writing experience has done for me, because you're essentially using organic content as well as generating leads for the business, making offers and all that. The third function in your sales team, so let us highlight this part as well. The third function in your sales team are your customer success or account managers. These are the people who will tend to your existing customers, ensure their success, and grow the business coming from those customers. It's important to keep a good balance between generating new customers and tending to existing customers, because it is very easy to get too focused on the former, which is generating new customers, at the expense of the later. Yeah, and I think that's what many people also do not get. Like, if the people who you already have are more important than people you do not already have. So um, in church, think of this as evangelism. Some churches spend a lot of time evangelizing, but then the members that they have, they aren't taking care of them, feeding their souls, so to speak. So the people you already have, if those people are comfortable, the customers you have, they're comfortable, they love your product, word of mouth is going to generate. And these are people who would help push your organic marketing and help you even increase your lead generation, because they are satisfied, they are happy about your product. Not only will great customer success make your customers happier and more likely to renew and increase their spend, it will also give you an open channel of communication to the customer to receive feedback from them, which is the only way to continually improve your company and lead the market. So there are three things that we've talked about so far, three functions of the sales team. The first one is generating leads. The second one is closing deals. And then the third one is customer success or account management. Here is the ideal structure of your sales team. Qualifiers, aka sales development reps. You have closers, and then you have farmers. Farmers, aka customer success. These are people who are nurturing. That's why it uses the word farmers. They're nurturing, taking care. These people, the farmers, are focused on tending to existing customers, ensuring that these customers renew and getting these customers to increase their spend. Farmers are compensated with a base plus a flat quarterly bonus based on retention rates, or with a base plus a commission based on account growth. So you have the qualifiers, sales development reps. These people are focused on generating qualified leads and handing these off to the closers. Qualifiers are usually compensated with a base plus a bonus for each qualified lead they generate. Generally, they are split into two groups. You have outbound leads. These are focused on proactively reaching out to leads and qualifying them. The most common channels used are email outreach and LinkedIn mining. And then you have inbound leads, lead reps. These are focused on qualifying inbound leads, that is, leads that come to you, that reach out to you by signing up to your site, signing up to your newsletter, and calling you directly. And then in between, let's okay, it's better now. And then in between, you have the closers, that is account executives. These people are focused on closing the qualified leads. They are in between the two, the farmers and the qualifiers. They are the ones who actually convert the leads into sale. So only start hiring AEs once you have account executives. Only start hiring AEs, that is account executives, once you have a predictable flow of leads being generated and farmers in place to tend to your customers. This means that you first want to hire a qualifier and a farmer while you act as the closer. So the CEO is the closer. The two people you should hire in the early days are a qualifier and the farmer. So the farmers sometimes, especially in small teams, the executive assistant or the virtual assistant, you might be asked to also function as community manager, until the time when the community is strong enough, and then you have somebody who is now a community manager. So because community managers are usually playing the role of farmers as well, because they are nurturing the clientele. I think that's what I would say in my experience. So you have the qualifier, you have the farmer, and then you have the closer. So it says here that until you grow revenue, you should be the CEO, should be the closer. So, and that's one of the things that are good about having a virtual assistant. An executive assistant will take administrative things off your plate so that you, the CEO, can focus deeply on closing, on high-level client relations and strategy. So, what are some common misconceptions about hiring salespeople? Here are some of the common mistakes made when hiring salespeople. Overlooking integrity and culture fit. Many people believe that the hiring rules that apply to the rest of their team don't apply to their sales team because salespeople are heartless mercenaries. As a result, they end up hiring salespeople who are the way who are that way, and this becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Let me take that again. Many people believe that the hiring rules that apply to the rest of their team don't apply to their sales team because salespeople are heartless mercenaries. As a result, they end up hiring salespeople who are that way, heartless mercenaries, and this becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. It is true that salespeople are generally more motivated by money than product people. However, that does not diminish the importance of hiring salespeople with integrity, culture fit, and mission alignment. They exist, they exist. It's just a matter of looking for them. So you want to hire based on integrity and culture fit. You also want to invest in training. So the mistake people make is not investing in training. Despite their track record at other companies, if your salespeople don't know their industry or your industry, your products and your process, they will not be operating at max capacity. The best sales team put their new recruits through an intensive training program, which includes working on the product, customer success, and sales development teams. Must hire must hire senior EAs with a track record. So another mistake is feeling that they must hire senior EAs with a track record. Many of the best sales teams are built from young, previously inexperienced closers. This is Mochary saying this. While track record is important, having the sales gear and the relationship building skills, attention to process, and commitment to the company vision often have more impact on salespeople's performance. Solo contributor AE versus manager in brackets VP sales. Contrary to popular belief, the best closers are most often not the best managers. This is because there is practically no overlap between the skill set required to run a team and manage a sales pipeline and those required for closing individual deals. When hiring a VP of sales, don't fall into the trap of hiring the best solo performer. Rather, the best way is to hire a sales manager with a proven track record of management. So, best closer may not be the best person to manage the team. Lead generation. How do you generate leads? Generating predictable leads is the first step to achieving predictable revenue. Not all leads are generated in the same way. So not all leads have the same needs. Specifically, there are three kinds of leads. There are seeds. Seeds are generated from word of mouth, usually from customer referrals or prior relationships. Pros, they tend to close fast, have high win rates, and grow into your best customers. Cons, it is really hard to proactively grow them. The best thing you can do is to build an awesome product and customer success. So seeds are word of mouth. People, they will most likely come to you as inbound leads because they've heard from somebody. Okay. And then you have nets. Nets are generated from your marketing, such as events. These are outbound. This is an outbound type from your events, your white papers, and ad campaigns. They are called nets because they are you are going for quantity over quality. This is this kind of lead. You're going for quantity over quality. Your inbound reps will then qualify the leads. Pros, pros. If done well, they can be very scalable and cost effective. Cons, there are serious costs and time associated with building, optimizing, and maintaining this channel. So nets are generated from marketing, such as events, SEO, and so on and so forth. These are people who also come to you through all these channels. So I think, yeah, that's correct. So I think that's why it says you should use your inbound leads to manage them. So both nets and seeds are sort of like an inbound management function. Then you have nets, and let's highlight that. Then you have spears. Spears are generated from direct outbound outreach by your outbound reps, usually through email outreach or LinkedIn mining. They are called spears because they are hyper targeted and you are going for quality over quantity. Pros: predictable, hyper targeted, and delivers immediate results. Cons: requires having full time outbound reps and may not be profitable if your average annual deal size is under $10,000. Okay, if your average deal size is under $10,000. Unless your deal sizes are very small, in which case spears may be unprofitable for you. The three-star strategies are very complementary and should be given attention. For instance, some of the leads you generate may not be ready to buy, so your email marketing and net strategy can nurture that lead until they are ready. Generally, startups get their first customers from seeds, referrals, friends, investors, and other customers. As you start to scale, it is recommended to next focus on spears. This is because spears generate hyper-targeted leads and immediate results, while nets generate a broader set of leads that and take time to set up. That being said, each industry, target customer, and product has different needs. It is your job to figure out what channels deliver the best results and narrow in on these. So if you're scaling up your sphere strategy, we recommend that you use an outsourced third party to identify lead emails for you based on your lead customer profile. Your outbound reps can then use a platform like reply.io to send drip email campaigns and generate leads more effectively. Qualifying leads and handoffs. The main focus of your qualifiers, outbound and inbound reps, is to qualify leads and pass those off to the EAs for closing. The best practice here is to create a qualification checklist that your qualifiers will be responsible for checking off. Often this is done by scheduling a call with a prospect and going through the checklist. Every company has its own specific checklist. Generally, a qualified lead is one of the following. Let's highlight this so that we get it. It's one of the following: feels the pain points that your product is solving, has the desire to solve that pain point, has the power to purchase your product. Is one which meets these three conditions. So they have to meet these three conditions, because if they have the problem and have a need for it but they can't purchase the product, that's bad. That's bad. Once the qualifier has qualified the lead, they must pass it off to the AE, that is account executive. This is best done by introducing the AE in the email thread with the prospect, or by having the AE join the next call with the prospect. Qualifiers should be compensated either on a flat fee for each qualified lead they generate, or on a percentage of the deals that they generate that are closed by the AE. For this reason, it is imperative that the AE be one who decides if a lead is actually qualified or not. Generally, the AE is the one that marks the lead as qualified in the CRM, not the qualifier. Wow, that requires like to hold a bit. So the best practice qualifying leads here is to create a qualification checklist that your qualifiers will be responsible for checking off. But then it says here that generally the AE is the one that marks the lead as qualified in the CRM. Okay, so the qualifiers just check them off the list, but the final status on whether they are truly qualified or not is the AE, because the AE is the one who is responsible for closing. Okay. KPIs. While there is an art to building relationships, scaling a sales engine is a science that can be optimized and predicted. In order to do so, you and your team must be rigorous about your KPIs and process. Let's start with KPIs. The metrics you choose to track are the metrics you will optimize around. So choose them wisely. Here are some of the main KPIs we recommend that you track. So average deal size, new revenue per month, average sales cycle length, number of SQLs per month, SQLs, that is number of qualified leads passed off to AEs per month, cost per lead, CAC, customer acquisition cost, customer churn rate, and revenue churn rate. Revenue churn rate is percentage of revenue that doesn't renew in a given month. Customer churn rate is percentage of customers that don't renew in a given month. So the KPIs for the sales team, these are the KPIs for the sales team. Remember to create counter metrics as well. In customer relationship management, the platforms can help you streamline your sales process and KPI tracking. Salesforce is the leader in the space, and we recommend using that platform once you have over 10 full-time salespeople. Until then, we recommend that you pick a lighter weight CRM to save time on the setup. So that brings us to a close of this chapter on organizing your sales department, or um, organizing your sales function. Remember, in this, so far in this part, we've been looking at managing stakeholders. We've looked at the employees in recruitment, we've looked at the investors in fundraising, and we've now looked at the sales team in managing your sales department. So in the next chapter, and I think that's going to be the final chapter for this course, because maybe I'll just do a run through of the appendices session, but it's going to close really at marketing. So thanks for watching. God bless.